Welcome back to my channel. Note that our channel does not support bullying. All the videos and content posted on our page is just for educational purpose. But before we get into today's video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like and share your comments down below. Now in this video, I'm about to share palm color people tell on themselves. Different palm color people share the truth about black people and just how they feel about people of my race. Now we all know truth hurts, but accepting and speaking about it can be harder for some people. More reason why we see a lot shying away from real talk discussions about race, racism, and many other topics that have to do with other races, particularly minority groups. Now in these videos I have compiled for you guys, you will hear palm color ladies saying that people were the first ones to bring advanced technology and the owners and creators of Atlantic. Now people who claim to have invented technology are not even the ones who did it. It is for this reason why since then Africans are repressed, because aliens were so interested in how advanced people were. So they did everything possible to bring Africans down because of how powerful our race is. Now this video is really interesting as these palm color people share a lot of reasons why people are treated the way we are treated today. Check out these videos. I will be right back.
Reasons why Africans are repressed, but let me tell you the reason why is when I say that you are the most powerful beings, you are the most powerful beings. You have to understand that you were like the first people to bring in advanced technology. You were the owners and creators of Atlantis. Okay, you people helped create advanced technology that these supposedly reptilians invented. They didn't invent shit. Okay, and the Arcturians, they didn't invent it either. All of you fucking melanated gods, you invented that shit. Okay, and you see what happened is that Egypt, so in ancient Egypt, Africa, this is Atlantis. You guys were the owners of that, okay? You did not live with, yeah, that's beautiful too, later on in other parts of Africa where you guys have your ancient stuff, but I'm talking advanced technology that you had here, okay? And you have to understand that the reason why you are so repressed is because aliens were interested in how advanced you were. They wanted you up because you were so powerful, and they took you off your throne.
The only reason people in the United States or anywhere we are, in Europe, in Africa, in Australia, in Israel, wherever we are the Kaisers. We are the Kaisers. And we live off the expense of the assault, Europe's assault on Africa, the kidnapping of African human beings, the picking, all of these things that we hear today. This is where it came from. Hundreds of years of assaulting and stealing everything that African people and Africa as a continent had, and putting it into the hands of people. And so this is why, as the chairman has said, the true class struggle, the true working class in the world is the African and nice working class. Yes. Not white people, because all white people, and you know this is true. You and I know this is true by just living our lives and seeing it. All white people sit on the pedestal, on the backs of African and indigenous people. And, the statistics are that even poor white people have an easier ability in a crisis to raise $3,000 in an emergency than middle-class African people do. Yeah. Because we live in social wealth. Yeah. We live with the wealth surrounding.
Dr. Hacker, it doesn't appear as though you really paint a very pretty picture of white people in general insofar as you see white-black race relations. Can you expound on that, sir?
Well, interestingly, you use the phrase race relations. I don't think there are many relations between black and white people. What I would say very simply is that those of us who are born with this pigmentation have certain privileges, things we can take for granted. We have the safety, the security, so we don't want to lose this. Now, this also means that, and here's the unpleasant part, that so much of our safety, security, status comes from putting down people, saying we're not like them. We're Europeans, we're more highly evolved. We've got talents they don't have. And that's where you get, the flip side of this, which really is the ugly side of the system.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much does sexuality really have to do with race relations, particularly between white men and black men?
Well, if you take white men and black men, let's take it two ways.
Okay.
If a man is walking down the street and he sees a couple, a very attractive man, really masculine, and with him a very attractive woman, we'll make her blonde, He looks at that woman and he wonders, this is the man, what does she see in him? What do they do together? And it really drives us, up the wall, because she's a woman who could choose, a guy, but she chooses that guy. And that really bothers us. And as a result, what we want to do is some way take that man away, because we begin to say, hey, is she having a better time with him, in various ways than she can with me? And so he's competition for us. And you know how people react to competition.
Now, the first evidence of both mathematics and astronomy are in Africa. The stone circles in South Africa, known as Adam's calendar, may be the oldest human-made structure. The use of tally sticks and bones show people doing math up to 44,000 years ago. Now, the earliest human inventions, such as the hand axe and manipulating fire, originated in Africa. People in Africa developed inventions used up to the modern day, including fish hooks, bows and arrows, and boats. The most important center of learning in the ancient world was the Library of Alexandria in Egypt. Now, many of the most important Greek contributions to math, science, medicine, astronomy, and more were made in Alexandria. The origin of the human species was on the African continent, and so it should come as no surprise that ancient African Asians were the first in human history. Even the ancestors of Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, had developed wooden tools, stone tools, and the ability to use fire. Physically, modern humans emerged in East Africa between 200,000 to 150,000 years ago. Around 100,000 years ago, there is evidence to show that humans had fully developed modern brains and cognitive function. Once human language had developed with tool making and use, people began to migrate both within and outside of Africa to other continents. Now, some of the earliest Asian and African technology include hand axes, fishing hooks, bows and arrows, and even boats. Many of the African invasions in history predate the use of the written word by tens of thousands of years. Now, there is a long and rich tradition of both oral and institutional knowledge in Africa in medicine, math, and education. Many traditional medicine practices involved using plants that have chemical compounds used in modern medications, such as salicylic acid, now used in aspirin, and kaolin, used to treat diarrhea. In Egypt, the ancient polymath developed systems of medicine so popular and effective that he was found in the Egyptian pantheon and was also recognized as a divine figure by many Greeks and Romans. Also in Egypt, the Library of Alexandria was perhaps the best and largest repository of knowledge in the ancient world. Now, one of the most iconic architectural feats in Africa are the pyramids in Egypt. Just to the south, the Nubian pyramids are smaller but much steeper and more numerous in modern-day Sudan. Mozambique and Zimbabwe boast of impressive stone structures, the most notable being the complex of Great Zimbabwe. The main mosque in Timbuktu is a prime example of traditional mud brick techniques in parts of Africa. Unfortunately, because mud brick and some other building materials are sensitive to the elements and need constant maintenance, not all of the old structures have survived in the modern day. Now, Egyptian medicine was highly developed through millennia of constant refining of techniques with medicines combined with beliefs in magic. The architect was also an accomplished scientist and established the idea that diseases and illnesses had natural causes and therefore could have natural treatments as opposed to strictly supernatural ones. Now, these ideas were flourishing in Egypt thousands of years before the works of Hippocrates. Egyptian practitioners of medicine required both education and training in the field. Human history began in Africa. Ancient African invasions are humanity's earliest technology. From the very earliest times, African technology such as the use of fire and hand axes helped humans to survive and thrive in their environment. Invasions became more complex and spread outside of Africa to other continents. Now, the richness and diversity of invasions in Africa has been developed both through oral traditions and through institutional knowledge. The earliest examples of the use of mathematics can be found with the tally sticks used to record quantities such as Lebombo and Ishango bones found in Swaziland and the Democratic Republic of Congo, respectively. Possibly the oldest human-made structure in the world is a series of stone circles known as Adam's calendar in South Africa. Now, metallurgical techniques developed in ancient Africa were of higher quality than any contemporaries, and evidence suggests that in East Africa, people had developed carbon steel centuries ahead of the rest of the world. Before many civilizations had even adopted writing, ancient Egypt had begun formal training of students and ongoing practices of astronomical observations and medicine. The Library of Alexandria was unparalleled in quality and quantity of ancient knowledge. Many of the most well-renowned Greek scholars gained their best knowledge and training in Alexandria. Now, the history of African inventors dates back to before modern humans technology existed. It was our genetic ancestors like Homo erectus who invented stone tools and discovered how to make fire. As soon as anatomically modern humans appeared in Africa, they started creating things too. The fishing hook, bow and arrow, and even boats were first invented by Africans long before the advent of written history. Even as humans started migrating out of Africa, those remaining on the continent just kept on innovating. Let's talk about some of the great inventions that ancient Africans produced. Starting with medicine, human groups likely had some sort of medicine since the earliest days of the species. But what we're talking about here is the development of a systematic medicinal culture. The ancient Egyptians have one of the oldest institutionalized cultures of medicine in the world. Professional healers not only used routine treatments for a variety of ailments, but recorded their knowledge as well. This let them establish schools of medicine with each generation building upon their accomplishments of the last. As a result, the ancient Egyptians could do some pretty advanced stuff. They were able to complete complex surgeries, mend broken bones, and deal with maladies of the digestive, nervous, and cardiovascular systems. Now, these treatments required medical tools and healing herbs and minerals, as well as magical spells. Now, all of this just points back to what these palm-colored people were talking about in these videos. There is more to Black or African hate. This causing fear among non people because they've seen how creative and innovative we are. So what do? Always wanting to be on the top. And this is what has led to artism, and not forgetting slavery, which is the root cause of many Africans suffering even now. They always want to claim and own what Africans have. But what do you have to say about this video? Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.